Hold on a minute. You know what I was doing over there in that corner?
What were you doing in the corner?
You shocked me when you came right on there. I said, hold on. You know, I was
Okay.
picking my teeth. I don't know why you try to call me out like that in front of our wonderful studio audience. How y'all doing? It's so good to be live in the studio one more time. Yeah. Yes, baby. Yeah.
That's all we can give them. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Conversations with Hannibal and Jupiter. I am Jupiter.
And I am Hannibal, who can't get it together.
Well, it's probably the first time you couldn't get it together, but we'll understand that you couldn't get it together. It happens. There's sometimes when I don't get it together. But I realized today we're kind of matching with the red. I went back to the red glasses. You got on a red shirt. You know, you got some red accents in your hat. Are you coming back from running the streets? Or are you going to run the streets?
So I'm going out to the old barn in a little bit. Have me a little piece of old cocktail, you know, a little piece of old cocktail.
Little piece cocktail.
A little piece of it, just a piece. Gonna have much, you know, but I want a little piece of cocktail. I'm celebrating a little piece of employment tonight. Yes, God.
Okay, so just all these little pieces going on. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Congratulations for you. I am happy to hear this. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool and cool. I am happy today.
Well, good.
I am.
It's so good to see you in a good space.
Yes, I'm a very good space tomorrow. My son does not have to go to school. He is be doing home learning, so I don't have to get up and take him to school tomorrow. So I am very happy that I can sleep in tomorrow.
Why are they out for home learning?
They have something called asynchronous day, where basically it's at the end of the quarter and the kids can either catch up on work and the teachers can kind of figure out what's done and what's not done. I ain't complaining about it. I'm just thankful for it. So that's all I can say.
Cool.
Well, it is very, very cool.
Shall we get started with our topic, which was given to us by one of our studio audiences?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tonight's topic is...
What's tonight's topic?
Tonight's topic is, have you ever felt loved by a partner? And if so, how did you know? Isn't that thing deep?
Have you ever...
Have you ever...
I know, I was channeling Brandy right there, and then I realized I didn't have the right, so I didn't want to start singing She Feels Like I'm Coming for Her Career. Then I have to get stopped. So right now,
no,
I'll keep...
She's not going to feel that. Trust me. She's not going to feel that.
You right now, you're going to get a little piece of ass whooping. So watch what you say about singing.
Just a little piece. Just a little piece.
I mean, I guess the love part can be, are we saying romantically in love or just love, period?
Romantically in love, you know, like, you know how people talk about those butterflies. When I measure love the way my father and mother loved each other. You know, did they argue? Yes, you know, but they were your typical Black parents in the 80s and 90s, you know, and their love was strong. You know, my father was my mother's protector. And when my father was not able to, you know, work or whatever, my mother had his back, you know, and vice versa, you know. So their love was very represented in our home and in the community and everywhere. And and people knew not to play with them about it. Like my mother, everybody knew mama carried her 380 in her purse. Everybody knew she carried her 380 in her purse and always had around in the chamber. You
Little
know,
black love mafia going on.
my dad always had something with him also, so but outside of that, their love for each other was genuine. Like you could see it, and I would catch my father sometimes gazing at my mother in the morning at breakfast or something, and he would get up, and my mom was not a morning person. That she was not. She was not a morning person. She was not a morning person. But my dad was. And so my dad would get up early in the morning. He would make us all get up. And mom would kind of get to lay in a little bit. And he would fix breakfast for all of the children and my mother. So by the time my mother came out of bed, her breakfast was fixed. All she really had to do was kind of sit down at the table and eat. Now when she came home, she cooked dinner, but he did breakfast. If it came around to laundry, my mother, would normally do the laundry, but there were times dad did the laundry until we were old enough to do it also. Their roles were completely shared. And to me, that is a sign of love. I can't ever remember them arguing over money or anything like that because their love for each other knew that they were building something. So any money that came in went to the house first, the kids next, and then to them. So that's what I think about, and just like I said, just the way they looked at each other, the way they felt about each other. You know, when my mother passed, I promise you, I don't think my father ever healed after that. It was an emotional toll on him. He truly, truly had an emotional toll on him. Like you could physically see the difference in him. So, I mean, when I think of love, that's what I think of. Butterflies in the stomach, fried pork in the morning,
Fried pork in the morning. Yeah, that's a very
a little
country
bit
love
of
story
bacon.
right there. Between the fried pork chops and the guns, I think that's a very country love story. Right
Hey, but like there was love.
there. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Mhm.
ain't nothing to love if you ain't willing to bust a cap in somebody's ass for somebody. So how you know
Hey,
if you really love somebody?
you ain't loving till you go to jail for them. It ain't love till you give them your tax money.
Yeah, tax money. Not just tell them when the tax money come, I'm gonna give it to you, but actually tell them when it comes and give it to them.
Give it to them. The whole check.
The whole chat.
You go do what you want to do with it. Not.
And what I want to do is go buy some bullets. Um, I mean, I think that sometimes we, meaning me, had these thoughts that it couldn't be.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times I wanted to have kind of conventional type of love or relationship, but not knowing exactly how it can work with two men.
Mhm.
I always just say like things are kind of different when it's too much testosterone in the room. Because I didn't have the speech to be able to say, hey, I can do this, you can do this, we can have a good little situation. Like, two butch queens can fall in love. The type of thing where we didn't have to say this person is taking on that role, that person is that. Just finding your strengths and weaknesses. I have been in love before. I enjoyed it. It was it was unexpected, and the relationship was a long relationship, probably about 7 years or so. But what I can say was kind of like a situation we said about your mother. I remember a incident where we were in Home Depot, and I was talking to somebody that worked at Home Depot, and he was walking behind me. And then there was a woman that walked up to the guy who was worked at Home Depot, who was talking to me, giving me instructions and stuff. She just like started talking to him, talking as if I wasn't standing there. And my partner at the time had walked up and was like, expletive, expletive, expletive. You know, do you think that black people are ghosts? How do you not see him standing here? And I was like, oh, you know, you about to get it tonight. Because I didn't even have the chance to react to this woman doing what she did. Like, I was ready to go ham on her. And he just like jumped into it. And I was like, see, this is it. Like, we get each other's crazy. The relationship did not, wind up the way we would have liked it to be, but he's still a very good friend to mine to this day. I mean, almost still like family. Like really, like, my mother asks how he's doing, vice versa. So it is different to come into a place when you're like, hey, this person understands me and stuff. But like you said, sometimes when you got a little something going on, it is that butterflies. Like sometimes you do have to go to a very young stage of what love looks like or puppy love looks like, and still admire this person, be proud of this person, know when I walk in a room, that's mine. And I know that sounds very territorial, but sometimes that's what it is. People respect, they see this love that you two have and admiration that nobody can take away from that. Like, I don't think that you would say somebody is no longer attractive because you're in love with somebody. Yeah, somebody could be attractive, but like that's cute and all, but keep it pushing.
It's the respect of that love. We're humans. We're going to find people attractive, but do I react on that attraction? And when you love someone, I love them enough to know that I am not going to willingly hurt them. If I have a relationship with someone and our relationship is traditional, meaning two people, and I know that, my partner needs to be validated. You know what I mean? Because some people need to just be validated. I'm not going to go out and be flirtatious and stuff like that. I'm going to make sure that I make my partner feel as validated as I can, because I need you comfortable with us being out, and vice versa. Because there are times when I've gone out and I needed to feel validated, and I know people will say, oh, no one should make you feel validated. Sometimes you kind of do. You know what I mean? Like, there are moments when you just need to feel that. And so when you're in love and when you're being loved, the other person just won't hurt you. Now, when I think about my relationships, I took a real long, hard thought about this morning. I'll think back on it. Have I loved? Yes. Have people loved me? Yes. Have I been in love? No. I have lusted or liked very strongly, but I can't think of a relationship that I have had that I would say we were in love. I think we were more in the moment. You know, it looked good for right now. It looks good that two successful men of color are together, or a successful two successful men, whether we're both same color or not, are together, and you kind of play off of that. But in love, probably not. Probably not.
So let me ask you a question. So saying you've never been in love,
Mhm.
and sometimes I think people need to realize like both people have to be there.
Right. Right.
It's not
Right.
just because
Because it can
then
be one-sided.
right,
Mhm.
and when it's one sided, you're just loving somebody, but it's hard to do it. Um, but the thing is, like you said, like being somebody's friend and being understanding and being open, but also realizing the nonsense too that can come into a relationship and how you two weather those storms. You know,
Right.
when like you were talking about somebody being in a traditional relationship. And so that's what this is about. We're talking about people in traditional relationships. It's nothing against people in open relationships or different type of relationship dynamics, but and for some people at certain times of their life, they want to do that, and sometimes they don't. But for you, going on from now, do you feel like you understand what that would look like for you?
I can't see me in a non-traditional relationship moving forward. Um,
No, I was talking about like being in love, like saying that you said that you've never felt that before. How do you feel like, is that something you want to achieve? Like I said, like moving forward, how do you think that would look like in a relationship?
yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. I believe in love. Um, I believe that love happens, and like I said, I haven't been in love, meaning that mutual, but I do think I have been, like I said, lusted or liked a lot, maybe even infatuated with people. But I do believe it's possible. I believe it's very possible that you can be in love. I've seen people find love in their 60s. How crazy is that, right? But people find love in their
But it's
60s.
beautiful. It's not so
It's
much crazy,
beautiful.
but beautiful.
It's
Because
beautiful.
sometimes, like your situation with your dad, losing a partner and
Hmm.
then maybe finding love with someone else,
Hmm.
helps you grow. But in anything, like we could see something in TV, even for you,
Hmm.
you couldn't meet anybody to recreate the love your parents had for each other. The
Right.
circumstances were different, the time was different, the people are different. Like there's no way. So yes, you could see that type of love and say, yes, that's what I would like, but I can't repeat that. And I think that
Right.
sometimes when people see social media and they see couples, they want to recreate that. Sometimes when I
Mhm.
see that word like couples goals, everybody wants to put that in there or hashtag couple goals. Really, everybody's goal is not to be like you.
And you know what? Like, what works for your relationship is not going to work for mine,
Mhm,
possibly, because my relationship goals are dependent upon what my partner and I decide we want to do with our relationship. You know, we may have decided in our relationship that we're only going to take a big vacation every 3 years. But when we take that big vacation, it's a 2-week vacation,
mhm.
maybe hitting 2 or 3 countries, you know what I mean? Now, everything else we do has gotta be really small, really tight, or we've decided something else, so your relationship goals are not gonna be mine, and then generally what I feel, and this is the personal opinion of Hannibal, what I feel is that a lot of these people that put relationship goals and things like that up there, a lot of them are broken. You know, are you really having relationship goals or are you flaunting around the only thing you could grab a hold of? Because you have given up on true love. I believe that true love is out there. I definitely can say I really, really, really loved someone one time, right? Still do. And this person and I could never really connect, right? And I built up the courage to tell them a few years back that I love them and everything, and just I made some sacrifices to make sure I was there for certain points in their life, right? That were happening. And I didn't feel it reciprocated. And so I I did that crazy thing. Well, all right, let's call and let's check in and oh, maybe we come visit and stuff like that. Boop, 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 boop. But I didn't feel it reciprocated. Because sometimes people will kind of do enough, like I got my foot over here, but I'm gonna keep my foot over there too, just to see,
Mhm.
what that water temperature is on that side.
Right.
And so after a while, I just stopped because I'm like, we've been knowing each other for years. Like, what's over here. And, either test over there or run over here. But I stopped because I realized that I was emotionally putting myself in a place that I didn't really need to be. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
And then I realized that it was only one sided. Now, does that person love me? Yes, they do. But they're not in love with me,
Hmm.
and I don't think I'm in love with them either. I was in love with them either. I think I was very infatuated with them.
And sometimes those things they get us that we don't really, like you said, not really knowing the level that it is. I
Hmm.
think we had talked about before where like you can meet somebody and then you could be talking to somebody and then you could be dating somebody and then you can be in a relationship with somebody. I think that those things too can happen. I had a similar situation where somebody that I really liked this person, it didn't work. And kind of like you were saying, I always felt like when time went on, my toe was still in the water, your pinky toe was still in the water, it's whatever. But like at one point where our toes were in the water and we were still communicating, this person was in a relationship.
Hmm.
And then
A whole
that,
one.
yeah, a whole relationship. And we would talk, but never mentioned it. And then that person wound up committing like credit card fraud against him. And then he was really hurt by it. And so when he called me and I'm like, what happened? And he said, yo, this, my ex. And I'm like, wait, your ex? Like, I didn't know that for the past 2 years you were in a relationship because you telling me, hey, oh, if we were only in the same city again and what happened, what went wrong, how did I lose you, all of that stuff. And I'm like, thanks, I'm a unicorn, I know, what I'm saying, like, like he's feeding you up, what I'm saying. But at that point I was not in a relationship. I may have talked to somebody here and there, but it was nothing serious. And for him, the whole time for 2 years, and then I find out when this guy, stick you for your papers. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you just tell me? Because I would have never continued to talk to you and, sexting each other and, wishing you a good morning. I would have never did all of that if I had known that you were in a relationship. And now you feel like, forget about all that because this motherfucker stole from me. And it's like,
Right. So you're
no,
only back because it's convenient. You know,
right.
you're only
Because I
back
didn't
because
steal
it's
from
convenient.
you. Yeah, but so it's those different levels where, like you said, I love the idea, but I know in truth or in physical form, it just wouldn't be. And sometimes you got to say to yourself, why are these barriers up here? You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? If we could be in the same place at the same time, why are we not in the same place at the same time? You don't like your job, you don't like where you live, you're not going nowhere. And hey, if you want to come here, whatever, but it just didn't fan out. And now we don't talk so much because it
So
felt as if like I was getting a storyline that I didn't need.
I don't know if I would do a move-in relationship again. I've had one, two. Whew. One where they moved into my house, and the other was where I kind of moved into their house. Baby, when I tell you it takes work, it takes work. Because I was just like, the one that moved into my house, I'm like, well, child, you just not the cleanest. I like my house clean. Now my hotel room could be a mess, but I likes my house clean. I
You
like
do, you do hotel like a rock star. You really do. You do.
when I come in a hotel room, I'm just like, I'm free.
Like, garcon, get that, please. Thank you.
Call the bellhop. Hey, hey, hey! I need you to move that bag and put it on the couch over there for me. Okay, yeah. Can you take the things out and hang them in the closet in color coordination?
And when I come from the club, I'm just gonna rip them all off and throw them all
Okay.
over.
And then I'll need you back before I wake up in the morning to put them back up there. Yes. Yeah. But like I
So
just
you're telling me, because I was there before too, where it was like,
mhm.
ain't no way I'm gonna live with somebody. I like my space with my son and I. I'm not gonna put myself in that place. I'm not doing that. And I realized that was just something else holding me back.
True. And I think also when I lived with these people, when we did this, I was in my 20s, like
Hmm.
early 20s. I'm now 40 plus. And I think if I did it again, this person would definitely be the one, right? And we definitely have a big house because I'm an introvert. Contrary to what many people believe, I am truly an introvert. I like my space and I like my privacy. But I enjoy the company of other people. I just don't like clingy people.
Hmm.
So I would need a big house and I would need like my own room in the big house. We can share the master bedroom or the main bedroom, but I kind of need my little crabby space over there too. This is mine. I can close the door and be like, no, this is my room. You can't come in. Because I'm a cancer. We kind of do that. We like to be like, oh, no, my shell, not yours.
But I think that it's just about being open,
Mhm,
finding different solutions, understanding as we age, things are very different, and being stagnant as we age is not helpful at all. Uh, Figuring out the parts of us that we also need to be touched by somebody else,
mhm.
and a lot of that is very emotional, like I do want somebody to hold my hand. When I
Right,
remember before, I would have like, ugh, holding your hand in the street. We don't do that. I don't do that gay stuff. No. Now
right,
it's
right.
like it wouldn't kill me.
You know,
You know what? Somebody would have to pull that out of me,
I
but I
appreciate
wouldn't stop
Atlanta.
them from doing it.
I appreciate Atlanta because Atlanta truly made me comfortable as a black gay man. Atlanta made me very comfortable in that aspect because you could go on a date and nobody looked at you weird. Two gay guys sitting at a table. Nobody looked at you weird. No one really cared. Actually, they probably could care even less than what they did care because, they're really not concerned. Like, I'm over here choking. Like, child, could y'all quiet him down while I eat my dinner?
Look, my partner and I are trying to have date night. Girl, go die somewhere else.
Excuse me, if you're gonna die, that's what Grady's for. No, but like Atlanta made me comfortable. And being in ministry too, like I got to see people who looked like me, who lived like me, thought like be me, be open, be loving, be caring, and all those things. And I didn't have to apologize to anybody about it. It didn't change who I was. So I respect Atlanta for that, being a black mecca, because Atlanta showed me that it was okay to be me in this space exactly where I am. So I found it liberating the first time I went on a date and we went to Piedmont Park to walk around. It's like a picnic, and we went to Piedmont Park and I had this cute little picnic basket that I had gotten from the Goodwill, had to bleach up all the stuff on the inside. So I was supposed to bring utensils and stuff like that, and they had picked up some sandwiches from the good old Publix. Now the Publix make a good sandwich.
Pause. You had an antique picnic basket full of utensils.
Yes, yes. I
No,
got it for $5 from the
no.
Goodwill. And let me tell you, it was cute because like me and this person kind of hit it off real good over the
Wait,
chat line.
wait.
And
So He showed up with these Publix sandwiches in a Publix plastic bag. Y'all took the sandwiches out the bag, put them in the picnic basket, and then opened the biscuit.
No, we took them. So we showed up, right? And we met in the designated spot. And so
Okay.
in my picnic basket, I had two picnic blankets. And so we spread them out and sat on them in the big green area there. And out of my picnic basket came two plates, two utensil sets, two cups. I had gotten some ice, and then I had gotten us like four Coca-Colas because we really like Coca-Colas. I got in the glass bottles, so it was really nice, and we played music and stuff like that and just kind of laughed and talked, had a really good time.
But he
And
still showed up with these sandwiches in a Publix bag.
in a Publix bag.
That's what I wanted was clarity.
Look,
All
if
I
we could
wanted
have went
was
to Piggly
clarity.
Wiggly, we would have. If we could have went to Piggly Wiggly, we would have. But Piggly Wiggly ain't got no bags for sandwiches. Look. Anyway, the moral of the story is when we got done, we got up and we walked around the park. And, I was not, having been in the military for a while, during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, you're very conscious of not touching and not doing certain things. And still today, I kind of suffer from some of that trauma, right? And so he grabbed my hand. And I was like, you are about to get attacked. And he looked at me, he said, it's okay. Like, we're gonna walk just like this. And I was like, child, who finna see me out here? Ooh, let's walk away from the people. Let's walk away from the people. Cut down through the grass. Don't take the sidewalk. Oh God.
So you wanted to get off the path.
Cut through the tree. don't you dare take me by people. But what it did for me was it got me very comfortable being me in public, because I tell you, we must have walked around that park for at least an hour, hour and a half. And by the time we were done, we were shoulder to shoulder. And I was like, wow, okay, this is normal. I was like, this is normal. Nobody's really looking at us. And honestly, they weren't. Many of the people were just running from these loose dogs that folks had out there. They weren't even.
They don't respect the leash law in Georgia. They really don't.
I tell you what, them dogs knew who to play with because they never came to us. It never came to us.
Because that was black love. They saw that. They're like, oh.
If they didn't see it, they would have saw Nike. Anyway, but yeah, it just taught me that. That's what I appreciate about Atlanta. And I appreciate about how open you can be in Atlanta and be very relaxed. Atlanta is a jewel. It's a jewel in the Southeast because, as you know, coming from New York down here, when you leave 285, baby, you are in 1968. Okay? In the South.
But just new cars.
New cars. New cars, but you are still in 1968. As soon as you drive under that overpass, woo, maybe the first 2 miles, they might be in the 80s. But 5 miles out, baby, they in the 60s. And especially when you come over here where I am. My little town is happily gay friendly, but the other little towns are not.
Yeah, that is but I do appreciate a small town too. So, the settling down to finding somebody, having that small town, maybe sitting on a porch. I personally don't like the taste of a mint julep, but just sitting on a porch, just having that, summer breeze makes me feel fine.
Now, over here we have Alabama sweet tea, and that's a moonshine sweet tea. Mm-hmm. That's what we have on our front porch. That's why we sit out there so much.
You sweating the liquor out. That's why you don't go in the house. You just
that's why we be swinging with old church man. They be like, it's 40 degrees out there. Shut up. It's hot. It's hot, baby. It's hot. Ooh. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, but on this love topic, like I said in the beginning, I definitely think, you know, I believe that there is love out there for every single person, but we have to be open. You have to be open to receive love. You have to be open to hear the criticism about you because in the relationship, you're going to find out that you're not perfect, and your partner's going to find out that they're not perfect. How do you deal with this? Are you going
And
to run
being
away?
vulnerable too. That
Mhm.
vulnerability that you have to let those walls down and not
Right.
let past relationships and friendship drama, infiltrate. Oh, I don't
Exactly.
know. This is scary. This happened before. Oh no, he took off his left sock first and my last ex, or he was a Sagittarius and every Sagittarius is a problem. You got to get all of that stuff out of your head and just work with what has been presented to you at that time in that person.
Right, right. And what I also think is, like you said about being vulnerable, like you just gotta understand that people are different. We are all unique.
Hmm.
Even identical twins sometimes will have, or most times have different personalities.
Right.
And people are different, so we can't group them into every single category as the
Hmm.
same. But what we can do, oh, that buzzing sound, y'all, here's my dryer. My permanent press clothes are done. anyway, anyway, we have to be vulnerable. We have to be vulnerable, and try something that we haven't tried before. As I look at relationships that I've had, you know, I always try to walk away with something. What could I have done differently? What could my partner have done differently? What would I like to see in my next relationship? And I think we have to talk about that through the stages of the relationship, because as you grow in a relationship, your points of view change. You have to constantly have the conversation about where things are going and how you want to see things progress.
I mean, it's interesting because I was, in a process at one point where I was a part of a group and we did a one-on-one with a person that was a therapist, and we were talking about relationships and dynamics. And that person said something which, for some reason, I remembered that person's name being something else, but it wasn't their name. I just knew that was their name. And then I remember asking you, were like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, yeah, it's your cousin. And you're like, I don't have a cousin with that name.
Don't have a cousin by that name, and still don't have a cousin by that name.
And it was funny because when I ran into her and I told her that, she did think that was funny, but you could not tell me that was not her name because I was like, yeah, it was. Like, we were talking to her. Like, she said something very profound. It still is in me. Like, that's her name. How y'all know your cousin's name? Um,
I've
but
only been around
she
her all
she
her life.
talked about like any relationship and the dynamics that it's going to constantly evolve, and that not look at it so much as work, but look at it as like checking in. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I may have thought about this when we first met, just constantly check in because you know what, 6 months to a year later, let's revisit that because I may see it in a different way. And not saying that our whole relationship has to completely change, but understanding how do we compromise or how do we work around that situation. And that I think is just very important to just like that checking in. And that checking in is as simple as like, how you doing today? Like outside of everything else, I know work is an issue, family is an issue. You got a crazy friend here, you got a crazy cousin here. How you doing? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? How you feeling about us? Like, I think that's important to do.
I think so.
So, well, on that note, this has been a fun topic about love, which is very nice that our fans and our viewers are dropping little gems for us to really think about, things that make you go, hmm. But I want everyone to remember that we publish new content weekly. So hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell to be notified about future videos and content. And you can also ask us questions and we will answer them on the air. I would like to thank my wonderful co host Hannibal for being here with me from the deepest of the deep south. And we're going to get him off of here because I heard that his town, they no longer have internet after 10 p.m. So we will be.
See, this is that conversation we had earlier today about your mouth. This is that conversation right here. We going real good, and then all
Okay.
of a sudden it's like,
Okay. So let me back it up. No disrespect, but I heard that your town doesn't have cable after 10 p.m. That's all I'm
and
saying.
who'd you hear this from?
It doesn't matter, but I said no disrespect. So don't think that I was saying anything in a bad way. I already told you. I gave you a disclaimer. Anyway, let's dance ourselves on out.
All right,
Goodbye.
bye, y'all.